Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the top 10 most valuable, most expensive, phrase it how you will, cards from Temporal Forces. It's been a few weeks. We looked at this on release, it's been a few weeks, it's time to look again. And the really interesting thing here is, the top 10 cards are the same cards as last time. The cards on the list, the 10 cards on the list, are exactly the same. They're not all in the same spot. They are not all the same price as they were. They're generally going down, as you might expect, but not all of them. It's very, very interesting to me. But we've got a situation here where the 10 cards that were on the list last time are the same cards that are on the list this time. Some of them are in the same place, several of them. Some of them aren't. Prices are moving. Let's have a chat. And let's start off at number 10 with the special illustration rare of Iron Boulder, still at number 10, still at $22. This is in the same position, at the same price that it was when we looked at a set on release. That almost never happens. Occasionally cards will go up. There is one notable example on this list. Most of the time cards will go down. There are many examples on this list. But I mean, look, I've had a go, I've had a look, and everything I can see tells me this is a $22 card. Last time on my list, I put it at a $22 card. Ergo, this has not changed in value at all. Hey-ho. I mean, look, as for the card, it's got beautiful artwork. It's one of those lovely special illustration rares, and it is a decent card which is techable into future box lists, because it either does 60 and then 8 damage counters if it's damaged, or it does 200. It ain't bad. In at number 9, we've got Bianca's Devotion. I'm putting this at $26, which means since last time it's fallen down 2 spots. It was number 7, it's now number 9, and it's come down by $10. And here's the thing about Bianca's Devotion, right? Clearly a beautiful card, no one's arguing against that. But it's not seeing a huge amount of play. It heals all damage from one of your Pokemon with 30 HP or less remaining. But the problem is, you need to have a Pokemon with 30 HP or less remaining, which a lot of the time you're not going to. A lot of the time you're going to get KO before that happens. And it's a decent enough card, but as we've seen with the whole Scarlet and Violet era, the pull rates for these special illustration rare supporters are such that even where they sometimes explode in value in Japan, they don't over here. In at number 8, we've got Prime Catcher. It was number 8 last time. It's number 8 this time, but it has come down $6 to $27. This is still the best ace spec around. Now, it's not the only ace spec around. Were it the only ace spec around, it'd probably be even more expensive. It is a card which sees a bunch of play. It is the best ace spec unless you have a different one you really want to play. But I think part of the thing here is there are a lot of ace specs that people do want to play. This is not a hard and fast, basically everybody plays it, like Computer Search back in the Gen 5 era, that really was overwhelmingly the choice for the vast majority of people. Prime Catcher is still the best of the ace specs, don't get me wrong. It is not the overwhelming have to play it over everything else kind of card. In at number 7, we've got ourselves Eri, which has actually jumped up 2 spots, 9 last time, 7 this time, and it's gone up $5 to $33. This is one of only 2 cards on the list which has gone up since we did this list, and it's only gone up by a tiny bit. This is a small jump, but it is a jump nonetheless. And the explanation here is basically twofold. Firstly, it's a really nice card. It's got a bunch of different Pokemon on the artwork, and that makes people very excited about it. Secondly, this is seeing a cheeky bit of play. Your opponent reveals their hand, and you discard 2 item cards. In control decks that are very much around, this is proving to be a very good tool. A lot of control decks are actually playing this, and that is pushing the price up. It's certainly seeing more play than Bianca's Devotion or Iron Boulder at the moment. So yeah, it should be jumping up a little bit, both in terms of price and in terms of spot. In at number 6, we've got Iron Leaves, which is a little bit sad. It's come down 3 spaces, number 3 to number 6, and it's come down $25 to $37. This is a pretty big drop for Iron Leaves. And the reason for this seems to be people are less excited about this card. You see, when it came out, people looked at this and went, brilliant. Future Box have got an answer to Charizard. You've got an ability that moves a bunch of energy over. You're hitting Charizard for weakness. It was supposed to be a good anti-Charizard tech. That was supposed to be the point of this card. That's what this card was supposed to do. And it hasn't really worked out that well. Go to limitlesstcg.com. Go to the regionals in Indianapolis. I don't think there's any of the deck in the top 8. I need a card in the top 8 because there's no Future Box in top 8. Sorry. But maybe go and have a look at a regional in Perth where Future Box also not doing great. But the highest placed was Christopher Chung, who came 14th with Future Hands. Didn't play Iron Leaves. And we got a double whammy here of Future Box is not really seeing a huge amount of love. And even where it's seeing play, Iron Leaves is not necessarily getting in there. And that's your explanation for the drop of Iron Leaves. In at number 5, we got Gouging Fire, which is still in number 5 as it was last time, but it's come down by $5. A modest drop. About the same as Eri went up by. And Gouging Fire, it wasn't some huge card that was going to change the metagame last time. It still isn't. It's a beautiful artwork of a popular Pokemon, and that's your explanation. All 3 of these T0 artworks make this list, so it shouldn't surprise you that this is not really moving anywhere. It's not a great card. I mean, Blaze Blitz 260, decent. And we got Fire Energy Acceleration. But the reality is this is just a beautiful card that sees a little bit of play on the periphery of the metagame. That's what it was last time. That's what it is this time. And we can say the same thing as Walking Wake in at number 4. Still at number 4 like it was last time. $40 like Gouging Fire. Trending a little bit higher, which is why I'm putting it here. And $20 down. All that really tells you is Walking Wake was overhyped and this card was too expensive. Gouging Fire was priced about right, and Walking Wake was massively overhyped. It doesn't fit very neatly into any of the archetypes we've got around at the moment. Sure, damage from the Pokemon is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active, that's lovely. And yes, Catharsis Raw can do 240, but you need some energy acceleration there. And ancient decks generally don't want to play water energy. There's plenty of ancient decks out there. Some of them are doing very well. But they're not playing water energy and Walking Wake. They're playing darkness energy and maybe a bit of fighting. And that's kind of my point here. It's not that ancient decks aren't seeing play. It's that Walking Wake is not finding its way in there. And a $60 special illustration rare that wasn't really seeing any play. Nah, mate. That was never going to last. And it didn't. In at number 3, we've got Raging Bolt. This has come down 1 spot from number 2, but it has come down $25. Sitting at $55 at the moment, which incidentally is still way too high. Still far too high for this card. And look, I love this card. It's my chase card from the set. Obviously, I want to drive the price down. I'm being honest about that. But the reality is, Raging Bolt, it's not good enough to be at $80. $80 for a special illustration rare. Put it initially on the higher echelons of all these special illustration rares from the Scarlet and Violet block. And it wasn't deserving of it. Yes, it makes a very good deck with Sandy Shocks. But what tournaments is that winning right now? You go to any tournament, you're going to see Raging Bolt and Sandy Shocks as a pair repping. It's going to happen. But they're not winning the tournaments. They're not doing particularly great. There are people playing it, but there aren't really people winning with it, at least not big. You know, looking on limitlesstcg.com, we've not got the full breakdown for Indianapolis as I record this, but it got 79th in Sao Paulo. It got 163rd and 166th in Florida. It's out there, but it's not great. And $55 is frankly still too high, but the artwork here is so good, and these Paradox Pokemon are very popular, and it is fringe playable, that this could still hold on. These Paradox Pokemon, because the artwork is so good, they are still trending higher than they really should be looking at other sets. In at number 2, the big riser that we see from this set, Morty's Conviction up 4 places from 6th to 2nd, and up $23 to $60. This just never really happens. This almost never happens that we see cards from a new set shortly after release actually going up, but it has happened here. And basically, this is, I mean, look, firstly, it's Morty, and it's got Gengar, all right? That helps. That helps a lot. But secondly, it started to see a bit of play in Gardevoir decks, in Golden Go decks, and in Lugia decks. You discard a card from your hand and draw 1 for each of your opponent's bench. Now, I'm not saying this is a staple in all the best decks or anything like that. Not saying that for a second. But I am saying it has crept its way into the deck list for some genuinely viable decks. And that's essentially your explanation here. I'm not saying it's some kind of phenomenal super card, but I am saying it's seeing enough play in enough decks to push it up. Plus, it's got Gengar on the artwork, and Gengar is phenomenally popular. And then I realised, hang on a second, I opened a box the other day of a Japanese card, and I have this card in Japanese. And then I become very, very happy. And of course, by now you've probably figured out number 1 is Iron Crown. And it's still at number 1. It was last time, it is now. It's come down by $30, 30%. It's gone from 100 to 70. Which I still think is too high. Because again, that puts it right at the upper echelons of special illustration rares. And don't get me wrong, the artwork is stunning. And it's a great card that boosts the damage output of all of your future Pokemon. But again, go and look at tournament results. Future Box is just not doing that well at the moment. Maybe people think it will in the future. Maybe the artwork is just that good. Maybe the potential combined with the artwork, I don't know. But right now, this is higher than it probably should be, is what I'm saying. I expect it to keep coming down. Maybe we'll check back in a few weeks. For now, I want to know what you think about all of these cards. I want to know which ones you pulled. I want to know which ones you haven't. I want to know which ones you bought. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Smash Cafe, who've been supporting us for quite a while now and are pretty lovely people. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.